Okay, what you're going to need to change your Yamaha Raider front tire is breaker bar for the axle, socket wrench. You're going to need to put everything back on, some torque wrenches. I got a foot-pounds and an inch-pounds. The only sockets you're going to need are a large 19 millimeter hex socket, which is inner hex there, like an Allen wrench, a 6 millimeter Allen wrench, a 12 millimeter socket, a spoon bar, yellow thing tire holder, some axle grease, some bungee cords, and let's not forget the big items, a motorcycle jack, and in addition to that, I recommend a Nomar Tire Changer Pro. It's the best one and it'll get the job done fast. Oh, and one of these. Woo! For those of you wishing to do this project yourself, here's a picture of the schematic with an exploded diagram of some key components and torque specifications you'll need. And I also made a copy of the procedure the manual tells you to do. Now, how do you know it's time for a new front tire on your Yamaha Raider? You got these little ridges that wear across your tread. I rode this one to the point of no return. I mean, there is absolutely no depth to these anymore. And when I ride it, it starts to blister. Little tiny blisters that I can poke in with my finger, which means there's less than 1/8 of an inch of rubber left. Don't do that. It's too close to death. Now here's the Raider's front tire type. This one happens to be a Bridgestone. You can also get a Metzler 880 series. Always put tape on your rim as far as the direction it's going. And I always do the same on my new tire just to keep things copacetic. My valve stem is here, my yellow dot is here, so we all got our neat components in one area. Look for this arrow. It'll say front use only and have an arrow pointing this way, which is what you want it to line up with on the direction of your rim. And if you are wondering where your center point is, look at that bolt right underneath behind the kickstand right there. And right there is where you want it to be, right in the center of your jack apparatus. Alright, first we're going to take off our brake caliper. There's 2 bolts here. Remove those. Then once those are out, just remove your brake caliper like so. Then get yourself a bungee cord and hook it in one of those screw holes. And I like to hang it around my clutch and brake cables so that it's not dangling or hitting the rim. Now repeat this process on the other side of the bike as well. So we're at the front of the bike. Here's our 2 brake calipers dangling in the wind. Now I want to draw your attention to this bolt right here. This is a 6 millimeter hex. Go ahead and loosen it, but do not remove it. Then on the right hand side of the bike, this is your axle. We're going to take that out now. And you're going to need a 19 millimeter Allen wrench head, which most auto stores do not carry one that big. So you're going to need to special order one probably before you do this process. And just remember, lefty loosey. Okay, we've got our axle disengaged and our tires should come right on out. Go ahead and remove your cap, and some guys might want to take out the valve stem, but on this tubeless tire I'm just going to air it out. And then go ahead and get whatever your bead breaker is and go for it. And you're going to rotate the tire all the way around. Then you're going to flip it over and break the bead on this side as well. And just a real quick note, if you are using a Nomar tire changer, the back is going to be second to the last bolt, and it's going to be second to the widest setting here. Your swing arm is going to be second to the last setting, and finally your sticker arm is going to be the 21 to 23 setting with the least amount on that. Alright, if you do have a Nomar tire changer, what you're going to do is go to the rim on this far end of the tire. But you're going to stick this thing in between the tire and the rim like so. Then rotate it and lock your tire and pull an edge of your tire above the tube. So we're going to start doing that over here. So you get it in, you rotate it, pull up, and get a bite. Lock her down. Then we're going to get our spray. Make sure you lube your tire and rim pretty good between, I'd say between the 5 and 7 o'clock position. Now one word to the wise here. If you are having trouble, if you're sitting here working on this thing and it isn't budging, like it's too tight, chances are your tire is not in drop center. So go around and check your tire and even throw it down in there if you have to. Then you'll find this thing will glide just like butter. And hold the end you started on above the rim so that the rest of it doesn't seed back up. And there you go. And then likewise for this far end of the tire, you're going to pull this far end of the tire up to the top rim, jam this thing in, rotate it so it locks it, and then again we're going to bring down our swing arm and do the same thing. And I do want to add, don't use your rotor. I mean, make sure you're not putting pressure down on your rotor. You don't want to bend this. So always keep it floating above your rotor as you're doing all this procedure here. And then voila, your tire's off. And now you'll likely have some moisture and residue here if you're going to put your new tire on right away. So get out a clean cloth and go around and make sure all that moisture is out, because water has a very low boiling point, and when it's inside your tire it will be sealed there forever and expand in a way you don't want it to. Okay, lickety split. Here's our new tire. I want to show you real quick. Here's the tape I put on. Here's my yellow dot. It's going to coincide with my valve stem and the tape I put down here. So arrows are going the same way. Yellow dot is going to be positioned over the valve stem. And we want to get our tire paste now, and we're going to grease our tire between about 3 and 9. And we're going to do the same to our rim here, between 3 and 9. I'm only needing 1 so far instead of 2. There we go. We're going to get some Nomar tire paste here and get some on the side of the rim of the tire here, kind of the part facing you, because what we need is a lot of slickness right in there. Alright, then we got a yellow thing tool here Nomar gives you. So you're going to force a portion of the tire over the rim and get that yellow thing tool in there. That's going to hold your spot. Then they come with this bar here. You stick these in between your tire and rim. So we're going to do that. And we're going to bring our bar over and just pivot around like so, and there we are. Alright, you can go ahead and clean up all the little gunk of the mounting grease that you use. It's not actually grease, it's like a oil-based stuff Nomar uses. Then make sure if you took out your valve stem, you put that back in at this point. What I like to do is bounce it around so that you help the tire skin to the rim as much as you can. Alright, then we're going to air it up and watch all these little gaps along here pop into place. It's going to be loud, so don't let it scare you. So once you overinflate to bead the tire, then you want to deflate it down to proper PSI. This is going to be 36. Right now it's above 50. Alright, get yourself a tire balancer and you put your cones through your axle place there, and then you can rotate your tire and stop it and see where it corrects itself. But you know, this tire here, no matter where I put it, it just jogs a little bit and then stops. And I think it's because these were factory rims that they chromed, and when they do that process, they grind them or whatever they do down, machine them down to the micron to be really balanced. So I'm not really going to worry about any weights. But if you do have just factory rims, there's a little ledge here on the inside. Go ahead and buy some weights. They just clip on. And what you'll do is you'll let your tire settle wherever the light point is, will be at the top. So you'll put a weight there and then try it again, and if it corrects itself back to that spot, then you'll put another weight, and so on and so forth. Okay, but anyway, with this one I'm going to call it good. There ain't enough offset to really make me worried. Before we go any further, you have two little spacers here. Grab them out of your tires. There's one on each side, so you should have two of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean these up. You know, there's grime all over them. Grab yourself just a clean rag and clean them up. Also clean out inside here, where your axle goes. Just pull a rag through. Do that for me real quick. Go ahead and get yourself some axle grease, or I'm just going to use this bearing grease. It's all the same to me. But go ahead and coat yourself some grease on these parts here so that they slide on nice and easy once again. And really pack these things around the sides here with this grease, because these are what kind of protect your bearings, keep them dust and dirt out of there. And you want to make sure that you got a nice coating there, so when you put them back in your tire, well, you got no dirt anymore and just a nice coating of grease. For those spacers where you got this little rubber boot in here which protects your bearings, go ahead and use your rag and clean that out. Part you just greased here, stick that on in there. I'm going to use my legs and pelvis to kind of lift it up in the spot here, and I'm going to take my axle, see if I can. Alright, I think we're in. Alright, after you thread it on the axle, we're going to get our torque wrench out, set it to 52 foot-pounds. That's what this tire needs to be torqued at. Okay, this bolt right here, our locking nut for our axle, is going to be set to 204 inch-pounds. Alright, go ahead and unhinge your brakes. And these seem to slide on nicely. Normally, I have to use a brake spreader. But go ahead and get your bolts and thread those back in, both of these holes. Then you'll cinch these to 29 foot-pounds or 348 inch-pounds. Now repeat the process on your left-hand side of the bike. Just remember, it's 29 foot-pounds or 348 inch-pounds.